child custody, separation, and divorce. How does it all work? When do you need to get a lawyer involved? What are the laws here in North Carolina? We're going to talk about it today. We are joined by Afi Johnson-Paris, a partner with Fox Rothschild. She's joining us today to discuss all kinds of things about domestic law, separation, and custody. This is the key thing. You get to ask our expert a question. This is no longer thinking that you might know what the answer is or asking someone who actually is not in the profession. You can ask the question one-on-one, 336-379-5775, and get your anonymous question answered here on television. All right, so we are so thankful that you are here joining us with your time and your expertise. Let's first just start off with this. What is the difference between legal and physical custody when we're talking about children?
Sure. Well, legal custody is decision-making power. It's the opportunity to decide the big things in a child's life, like education, religion, non-emergency medical care. It's not the day-to-day small things like what they eat or wear. And so you can have joint legal custody where both parents get a voice in those decisions. You basically have veto power over the other parent, or you could have sole legal custody where only one parent makes the decisions. Physical custody is the time sharing. What is the schedule under which you have the child in your care? And so when people talk about visitation, that's really just a form of custody and it's pretty much the same thing as that term.
Okay, that is good to know because I think a lot of people probably intermingle those kinds of things and they get
Yeah.
confused with all of that. All right, when can a child decide where they want to live? Is it when they're 18 or is it another age?
That is one of the most common questions that I get in custody cases. Children get to decide where they live when they are 18, and actually at that point they're adults. Children can have a voice in this process of child custody, but they don't get a vote. It's really important that parents don't make them think that they get a vote. Once they're adults at 18, they can live where they want, but in most custody cases, the judge doesn't even speak to the children. So oftentimes that decision is made without the child's input, but they don't get to make a decision about that themselves as a child.
Okay, and so like one parent can't say, well, then you just need to tell someone that you just want to live with me instead.
Right, because they don't automatically have an opportunity to speak to the judge. People think that the judges take the children in their chambers and talk to them and it's off the record. The only way they can do that is if the parents both agree. And oftentimes the parents don't agree to let the child talk to the judge. So then you would have to put them on the witness stand, and that's not ideal.
Okay. All right. So often a parent will ask, why should I get a custody order or agreement? Can't we just like decide that this is what we're going to do and agree this is what we're going to do?
Well, I would point out to them that if they always agreed, they'd probably still be together. So when you don't have a written order or an agreement, that just sets up opportunities for you to have to negotiate issues around parenting over and over again. Whereas if you have a custody order or an agreement, the parameters of how you're going to parent your child in two homes is set out, and you can follow that, and you don't have to negotiate every week what day it's going to be or what time it's going to be. Without an order in place, either parent can exercise their rights, and that's what I often call the race to the daycare, where whoever gets to pick the child up first has them, and that's chaotic.
For everyone involved, including the child.
Absolutely. That's very often not in a child's best interest. And that's what a court is going to determine, what's in a child's best interest. But if the parents can determine that up front on their own by consent, that's even better for them to decide how they want to parent their child.
All right. So I think a lot of times people think that the law automatically prefers a mother over a father for young children. Is that true?
Absolutely not. Our law is gender neutral and it provides equal opportunity for either parent to have custody. And they've specifically abolished what they used to call the tender years doctrine that would put young children with mothers. So, yes, infants can spend the night at the dad's house. Either parent can have custody. There's no preference under the law.
Okay. And if there is a parent out there and they're wondering how do they even file for custody, is there a good place for people to go locally to kind of like feel that out and have questions answered? What is the answer to that?
Sure. If you want to do that yourself without a lawyer, there are forms online provided by our North Carolina courts at nccourts.gov. There's also a local agency and nonprofit called Court Watch of North Carolina. They have forums where you can get those. That's at courtsupportnc.com. And then, of course, Legal Aid of North Carolina has forums, and they also have clinics to assist people with the process of representing themselves. And that's at legalaidnc.org.
I'm just kind of curious, like, what is the makeup of people representing themselves versus people having lawyers?
I would say it's a pretty high percentage of self-represented litigants. I'm not sure, exactly how it evens out, but it's definitely a lot because, using a lawyer can be very expensive. But a lot of times it's worth it even just to talk to a lawyer so they can point you in the right direction and help you understand what the law is before you go into the process on your own.
Yeah, because I think you don't know what you don't know until you get in there.
Absolutely. And I mean, for me, my children are one of the most important things in my life, and I wouldn't chance that necessarily to my own abilities. It would be really helpful to have a professional help me through that. But if you're dealing with another parent who doesn't have a lawyer on their side and there are no issues, like if you had to grade the parents where, grades A through C, where these people are all fit, then that kind of minimizes the need sometimes. But if you have some specific issues, high conflict, it's really helpful to have someone supporting you like a lawyer.
All right. All right. So what's going to happen now is we are going to be taking your questions coming up in the next two segments. So 336-379-5775. Remember, your questions are anonymous and you're going to get your answers right here on Live TV. We'll be back.